Why is it that if a man rejects a woman for dating, it's considered preference,
Okay.
but if a man rejects a woman for employment, it's considered sexism?
Oh my god, that's an amazing question. Although some women would argue that even if a man rejects a woman, that it's considered, anti-womanism or whatever. But so here's the thing. I believe very strongly in the idea of earning and getting what you deserve from what you earn. So if two people are differently qualified, the person who's more qualified for the job should get it. And I don't care if that person is a man or if that person is a woman. I believe that the gender or race of the person should not go into the decision. I believe that the qualifications should go into the decision. Because that way, you allow for people who were, not born with a silver spoon in their mouth to actually have a chance to be successful in life. And so, because of this, I don't believe that it's, against women to not let a girl into a job if there's a guy who's more qualified or whatever, if there's another girl that's more qualified.
I guess it depends on how they go about it.
I think they're two very different situations and that they shouldn't be put in the same category, but if a man rejects you for they don't want to date you,
They don't want to date you.
that's their preference, like you said, like that's fine.
Well, in other words, why should somebody be forced to hire somebody if they aren't forced to date somebody?
I agree entirely. In fact, because both work and relationships are transactional, I believe that they should use the same logic. Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. You're liking the content new to the channel? Please leave a sub, hit all for notifications, like and comment on the video. If you're listening on the podcast, thanks a lot. Just give me a 5-star review, hit the follow button. If you'd like me to comment on a video, compilation, maybe a Reddit post, please send it to theheliosblog@gmail.com. On we go.
Well, I think it all depends on qualification. Like, if someone's not qualified for the job, it doesn't matter, male, female. But
Agreed.
if they're hiring someone who's less qualified than you and they're male, then that's
Agreed.
the problem. It's not.
Agreed.
If they're not hiring you because you're not as qualified as a man, then
Agreed.
I don't think that should be considered sexist.
Who do the majority
I agree entirely. That's exactly the logic that I just used, and I agree entirely. I believe it should be purely based on what they have accomplished, and it should not, like the gender of the person, the race of the person should not factor into the decision. It should be based purely on their ability, what they have earned, and their ability to use what they have learned in order to benefit the company. So, good logic.
of women prefer to have as a boss, a male or a female?
Oh, wait. I actually know the answer to this question. They've done studies. Women actually prefer to have a male boss. Women say that they prefer to have a female boss. They'll say that on camera. But the actual statistics show that women prefer male bosses. In fact, women respect other women bosses much less, and they have a lot of cattiness. So that's what the study showed. So there you go.
Female, because men always just think they're entitled, and that I feel like women are strong, beautiful creatures that can run businesses.
Okay, so this is just like, you see, even her posture, right? She's assuming the role of a girl who's speaking up for all women, and she has to make women look good. She has to pay lip service to the strong, independent women, and that they can also be boss babes and CEOs. But the actual statistics and data don't bear out what she's saying. She's just trying to make herself look good on camera. She's virtue signaling. But in reality, this girl here, this individual, would, statistically speaking, I don't know her individual story, statistically speaking, would actually prefer a male boss.
Better than men at some points.
And I'm the opposite. I'm going to go.
And totally, women are better than men at some things. That is without a doubt true. And this girl is going to say that she prefers a male boss. So let's see why.
And say I prefer having male bosses. I think women are very competitive. I believe that, you know, women bosses, they'll try to like kind of dumb people down so they stay on top.
Right, they play social games. Like the goal of the woman boss, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, is to play Machiavellian power games and to maintain their position. It's not actually, their goal is not actually to get the product at the maximum efficiency possible. It's for them to maintain their position. So it's, and they're not worried about who they have to stomp to get there, right?
Whereas men just kind of, they're already there. They know where they are.
Okay. All right. When women go on a date with a man, who do they prefer make the majority of the leading decisions during that date?
The man.
The man. Definitely.
Women do prefer that men make the decisions. And in fact, if you're not making decisions, women will find you less attractive. More than this, you should be planning every single date. She should not plan anything. And the reason is because when you plan the date, you're able to make sure that the date goes in the direction that you want. And if you're able to make sure the date goes in the direction you want, then you can maximize your outcomes on that date. So if you're trying to get laid, you can plan it so that you get laid. If you're trying to have a nice, dinner date or whatever, you can plan it out so that it's a nice dinner date. By the way, guys, I'm not advocating for early dinner dates. I would never say that. It's a ridiculously idiotic idea in 2022 dating. Your early dates should only be a walk in the park or coffee. Anything else is a no. You never give your commitment and your provisioning up front, because many women don't deserve it. And so they must show that they have earned it before they deserve it. Okay, anyway, moving on.
Definitely.
If you ask me on the date, you should
have
plan.
that shit planned out.
I agree.
Tell me you're gonna pick me up at 7. Don't ask me what I want to do. Tell me what.
I agree entirely. This is correct. You never tell them, you never ask them what they want to do. You say, I'm getting you at this time, at this place, and that's it. And you have already planned everything out. Don't tell them what your plans are. You just go and execute the plan. This is actually good advice.
What you want to do.
Yeah.
So in a society where the majority of women prefer to have a man in a leadership role and make most of the decisions, is it any wonder why most leadership roles are held by men?
It's not. And in fact, that reflects biological reality. But more than this, men that are in leadership roles are more attractive to women, and so many men pursue those leadership roles as an avenue to become more attractive to women. So it's directly related. The increased income and the increased status makes men more attractive to women. So it's totally not surprising that most leaders of industry, most bosses would be men.
Definitely a wonder. I honestly think that's kind of like a gender role thing too. Like I feel.
Agreed, it is. And in fact, women that are raised properly will understand that men are the boss, and they'll understand how to behave towards men in order to get the outcomes that they want in relationships, and they won't desire equal relationships at all. An equal relationship is actually a failed relationship. An equal relationship means the woman rules the relationship, which she said she doesn't want to do. So a woman knows her place as second place in the relationship. But second place isn't a bad place to be, because somebody has to be the carry and somebody has to be the support. Somebody has to be the dominant and someone has to be the submissive. And historically, for thousands of years, when the man is the dominant and the woman is the submissive, it has worked. And it has worked very well and has led to many successful civilizations. This equal relationship garbage is leading to the fall of the West, so obviously it doesn't work. And it never has. In the Roman Empire, when that happened, in Sparta, when that happened, and elsewhere in the world where it happened, it led to the fall of the civilizations. So it is not the way to go.
I feel like that's been a huge thing. Men get places a little bit easier than women. So when women get there, they work harder to stay.
But I mean,
actually men don't get placed easier than women. It's just many more men compete for that place, and so to women it appears that it's easier for men than for women, but actually it's harder, because if you're competing with 50 men to become the manager, right, and one man wins, but let's say in that manager race there was one woman as well, to the woman it appears that men are favored, right? But actually the woman is favored because she's the only woman there. And she, there's affirmative action and stuff helping her, whereas the men have to compete like 49 to a place.
Is it fair to say that maybe a lot of reasons why, men are kind of in leadership roles is because women want it that way?
Want it that way.
So do they have the right to complain about it if that's their preference?
Probably not.
They don't have the right to complain about that, but they do. And there are many things that women complain about that they don't have the right to complain about. Like, why won't you take me even though I'm a single mother? Why won't you take me even though I have 50 plus past partners? Why won't you take me even though I have 50 tattoos? Why won't you take me even though I chopped all my hair off and now I look like Mr. Clean? Like, all these things are ridiculous. Why won't you take me even though I'm a harpy who will try to shame your masculinity at every turn? Like, and then they get a cat or a dog and die alone, right? Like, again, these are things that women complain about, but like, I suppose they have a right to complain because they have free speech, but should they be entitled to a relationship just because they say they want one without earning or doing the behaviors that earn one? I mean, we all know the answer to that.
I feel like if it's their preference, they're not going to complain though.
But it is but I mean, once again, aren't we establishing that it is their preference?
Right.
But they're still complaining. So my question is, how do you reconcile the differences there? You know what I mean?
Wow. All types of different people. That's a good question.
Okay. Why do women often attack a man's masculinity when they don't get what they want?
Oh, I mean, so for example, here is a classic, right? Like, they'll say, you say you don't want to date her, and she says, you have a small wallet, or you're a loser, or who hurt you, or no woman will ever date you if you think like this, or all this ad hominem garbage, right? But it doesn't actually serve any positive purpose. All it is sour grapes, right? Another thing is, when women do this ad hominem attack in front of a group, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the guy to be socially weaker so that he doesn't have a chance with another girl in that group, right? She's trying to go anti-social proof on the guy, and she's doing it by attacking his masculinity, which is what women find attractive.
Because that's the trick of old time, right? If you break a man down, then you have the key to controlling him. So it's easy for a woman to try to break a man down to make him feel like he's nothing, so she can even feel powerful. And that becomes just a keynote. That also becomes a sexist thing, because a lot of women feel like they need to be empowered. So if they're degrading a man to make them feel more empowered, that's a whole nother situation too.
Indeed, and this is actually a very common trend in 2022 dating, is the idea of attacking a man's masculinity in order to reduce him in value, so that he won't be able to get other women, so that he won't leave, right? But the problem is that women are not attracted to that. So what happens is, any man who's willing to bend or break to these sort of attacks, these men are then replaced with the men that won't break. So it's a form of natural selection.
Do you think women are more interested in love or power?
Power, 100%. And that would explain the modern matriarchal feminist world perfectly, right? Again, it's like 1984, the book, right? Like, they want power for power's sake. It's not about equality. It's not about everybody being happy. It's not about children growing up in good homes. It's not about any of that. It's about power for power's sake. It's about women being in control and maintaining their hegemony over men, and then using that hegemony to leverage into being able to sleep with the absolute most attractive men possible. And I think possibly the end goal of this is to get a society where you have women meat grinding, or whatever you want to call it, churn of the top 5% alpha men having their genes, and having every other man be okay with paying for the children of that of those unions. So it's like top 5% men, they are sort of breeding stock, and the rest of the men are like provisioning stock. And the end goal perhaps is the cultural brainwashing of men in order to perpetuate that forever, right? I think that might be the end goal of a matriarchal society. Anyway, I digress. Please leave a comment if you agree or disagree with the points I'm making here. Let's move on.
Power.
Why?
I think because if you control the power, you can control your love.
Me personally, love. Absolutely. Love.
Okay, but women, when they're on camera, they're going to say what makes them look good. So, of course, they're not going to say that they want power, even though their actions imply that very clearly. And that's why I say that you don't listen to what women say, you listen to what they do. What are their actions? If their actions are power seeking, then how could they possibly say that they want love more than power? And in fact, if they sought love, then they would just get a guy who would love on them, dote on them, care for them, pay for them, and they would never leave. But that isn't what we see. We see women sleeping around with the most attractive men possible and, cycling from guy to guy and then complaining about those men while the men who would actually love them and take care of them are thrown aside like trash.
Love. I don't really. I'm okay with being a little lower if I'm respected and loved.
Okay, so again, it would be lovely if this were true. If this was actually true and not just said for lip service to the camera to make the girl look good to the audience watching, right? If her behavior bore this out, right? Now, I don't have much to go on looking at this girl here. She looks fairly young, but she has a nose ring. A nose ring is the equivalent of a tattoo, so she has 5 previous partners, estimate. And I mean, she is on the Las Vegas Strip, so you can probably assume that she's, attention seeking for men, which implies that she's probably not a virtuous girl who would get married as a virgin, right? Again, I don't know her story. I'm speculating, right? But I would predict that if we looked at her past partner history, we would find that though she says this for the camera, her behavior doesn't bear it out.
Okay. Are men more likely to use power to get sex, or are women more likely to use sex to get power?
This is a tough question. I don't. The dichotomy of this question is interesting. I actually think it's both at the same time equally. I think men use power to get sex. And in fact, what I advocate for on this channel, where I say that you should put in effort in order to become a high-value man, what I'm actually saying is you should build your power, right? And so and effectively that power then leverages into bedroom fun as well. Though it's actually a much greater benefit than even bedroom fun. It gives you positive outcomes in every aspect of your life, not just bedroom fun. And women use their bedroom fun to get power. That's totally true. In fact, what they do is they use it to gain a lever on a man, and they try to get the heaviest weight, as it were, to leverage. So they'll try to get the most attractive man, effectively.
Ooh.
I feel like it goes both ways.
I'm gonna vote the men one. I think men use power to get sex.
Okay,
it's
but
all an ego.
I think, would you acknowledge that it kind of goes both ways, though?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
If all the men in the world were gay, how would women get power?
Tough question. Though it's kind of a moot point, right? Because if all of the men didn't want women, then the human race would kind of die out. So effectively what women are doing is they're leveraging the biological fact that men need to reproduce the human species in order to control their behavior, right? That's what's actually happening. So, kind of a moot point. And that women couldn't get power over gay men is like, again, I think it's kind of moot. I think it's kind of a useless question.
Fuck each other.
Okay, since men aren't all gay, where do women actually get their power from?
Other women.
What? No. I don't understand. Women get their power from other women? Is she saying like in the social status sense? I mean, that's not really wrong, at least initially. But women actually get their power by leveraging men. So.
Okay, but if women use sex to get power, can we admit that many women get their power by manipulating straight men?
Manipulating.
See, they don't like the word manipulating, right? But I mean, that is effectively what it is. It's using men in order to leverage them to do certain things or to get certain things. Anyway, leave a comment if you agree or disagree with the points I'm making here. Let's move on to our Reddit post. My wife of 41, so this guy's 38, is afraid of everything and leveraging the relationship as a bargaining chip to ease her fears. Oh, God. Something else, guys. This was posted 14 hours ago. Something else is if the girl is older than the guy, it's a red flag immediately, even though they're in their 40s, but presumably they've been together for a long time. Okay, we were recently married. Oh, what? But dated for 2 years? Really? Unfortunately, we began dating right before COVID, quarantined together and got to know each other pretty well. I never got a good sense of her anxieties due to restrictions. Okay. Since a child, I've had dirt bikes, four-wheelers, la la la. A year prior to meeting, I suffered a near injury from an awful motorcycle accident. When she and I met, she had several conditions to which she would not date someone. Oh, okay. Guys, it's time for the red flags, okay? Several conditions that she wouldn't date someone. So this is all men that she's previously slept with, okay? No firefighters, no policemen, no mountain climbers, no motorcycle riders, no gun owners, no first responders, no one in the military. That's all. How many? What end count is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 already. But guys, this is just the number of alpha widows. So can you imagine what the actual end count is? What a disaster. Okay, and anyway, we can even extrapolate past this. So 7 alpha widows, but she's 41. Assuming that she started dating at the age of 16 and has had only one partner per year, what is 41 minus 16? What, 25 or something? 25 plus 16, 41. Yeah. So 25 plus 7, 32 minimum. Okay, and I think it's probably even higher than that. So there you go. She asked if I had plans to ride again, and at the time I did not due to the injury and thinking I could never ride again. Luckily, I found an amazing personal trainer who helped me to rehab to 100%. And would love to ride again. I'd love to ride again. Riding was a huge part of my hobbies, and she's holding the marriage hostage. Well, again, this is why I tell men not to get into marriages, right? Because she can hold you at threat point and threaten to leave, take your children, take half your stuff if you don't do as she says, if you don't comply, right? This goes beyond just the motorcycle. She's incapable of driving over bridges and insists that I drive her anytime she has to go to New York due to having to cross the Hudson or many other large bridges. This translates into at least 4 hours on the road. For instance, she had a bridal shower thrown for her in Brooklyn. We live in Northwest. I don't even know what this CT means. Saturday mornings, I have rec league basketball in a town 15 miles from my home. Because of her fears and inability to divide and conquer or do things without me, she insisted I drive her to Brooklyn. When I insisted on driving herself, she tried to cancel her own bridal shower organized by her best friend, so I had to spend over 5 hours in traffic driving her there and coming back. I made her catch a ride with a friend to get back home. So, guys, if the girl is trying to leverage the relationship against you from an early stage, the relationship is done. It's already over. Like, there's no need to stay. So I don't know why this guy's even in this arrangement. The girl has like more red flags than a parade in a country with a red flag. You get what I'm saying. After I bring up possibly getting back into racing, she breaks down crying and tells me I'm forcing her to get a divorce. Wow. What a cruel woman. She's not resilient. She fears everything, and I feel it's impacting my quality of life in a very negative way. So divorce the girl. Despite us both being vaccinated and boosted, she constantly harasses me about wearing a mask everywhere. She's a harridan. This relationship is over. Anytime I have to work late in the city, she calls constantly and makes passive-aggressive remarks about me having an affair. I've provided a great life. I'm honest and I communicate openly and genuinely. Well, there you have it. He's a beta male. We live on a lake in rural whatever, which is possibly the least stressful environment one could be in, but she finds things to be afraid of. I recently began looking at homesteading acreage in upstate New York. When discussing my plans with her, the immediate response is, why do you want all that land? Something could happen to us out there and no one will know. This stuff is exhausting. I love her and she's a beautiful person inside and out, but her fears are killing my respect. She loves from a place of fear and is the only limiting factor in my life. She's in therapy, but I'm seeing no improvement, and she's began insisting I go to therapy to understand why I like triggering her. Right, so this girl is like totally red flags and just controlling the guy, and then she's cruel. She's trying to break the guy down in order to gain control, and when he does, she'll go to the next guy. What advice can you find folks offer, or should I just call it quits? We have a big wedding celebration planned in Germany next month, but I'm tempted to cancel everything. Wait, so this guy's like super rich, and this girl is still being an ass? Like, just get a 20-year-old. Okay, here's the top comment. She's 41 and you've only been together for 2 years. How is she driving over bridges before? This part I don't understand. Other men did it. Okay. I've asked the same thing, and apparently she wouldn't. I purchased a home that required driving over a raised road that crossed my lake to get to the house, and we literally broke up for a few weeks. One day she shows up shaking, saying she's sorry and she's going to drive over the bridge to see me because she loves me. Can't make this up. Yeah, he should just say he doesn't drive her and hold strong. But again, like, he should just get a younger woman. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't imagine, like, a rich guy putting up with behavior like this. This is what women try to raise men to be, like these beta males who, like, do whatever, like, women want. But look at how miserable the guy is, right? It's, like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I think we're going to end the video there. Thank you so much for listening, guys. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, leave me a like and a sub. Hit all for notifications on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, give me a 5-star review. Please give me a follow. Again, thank you so much for listening, guys, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Please remember to do all of the following. Like the video for the algorithm. Comment on the video. I respond to all comments and I'll give you a heart. Subscribe and hit the bell so you can see my content on your feed. Check out all of my content on other platforms. It spreads the reach of the channel. YouTube, bit.ly/heliosyoutube. Rumble, bit.ly/heliosrumble. My blog is realheliosblog.com. My podcast, bit.ly/heliospodcast. My Patreon, patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also support the show at bit.ly/heliosdonations and buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. Thank you so much for all of your support.